Okay. Yep.
Call to order. Welcome to the Tuesday Committee of the Whole meeting. We have a quorum. Can you please join me and rise for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry about that.
To approval of the minutes. No? Yes, so this is, well, can send it over to you. Yes, and I'm sorry. We went back to this. I now turn it over to Dr. LaRocca.
Yes, thank you, Vice President Cavalieri. We did change the format of the agenda for the committee meeting, just for anyone who's attending in public, to mirror what the business committee agenda looks like. And it does indicate, if you look at it, it does indicate that this is the committee of the whole. So when you see the agenda next week, it will not have that committee of the whole designation anymore, and it will revert to the business meeting agenda. So we'll just remind people of that change as we move forward for committee of the whole meetings. But hopefully that provides a more apples to apples comparison of the agenda between the committee of the whole and the business meeting the following week. Yes, it is subject to change at the will of the board. Okay, so we will have the regular procedural part of the meeting, and then recognition of visitors. The report of the superintendent at the business meeting will be the Board of Education recognition. And then for the committee meetings, are there any questions on, maybe we'll go by committee.
By committee, yes.
This now.
Yep.
So does the board have any questions on either the education committee or the education committee consent?
Take a moment to take a look. Any questions from the board?
I need a few more minutes, please.
Okay. All appointments and resignations. Trustee Proposal?
Number 6, the clubs.
Yeah.
They're funded by the American Rescue stimulus. Is that something we're going to be able to continue in the future without that stimulus? I'm not sure what that is.
Yes, so we have two ways that we've been funding clubs. Part of the funding is in the general fund, and if you go to last month's business meeting agenda, the clubs that were approved there were from the general fund. And then for the past 3 years, since we had the American Rescue Plan funding, we've been able to fund additional clubs for academic support. So this would be the last year of that funding. So this would be the last pool of money to have the extra clubs. So in the budget process, the board may want to consider increasing the general fund club budget if we feel that, these extra clubs have been beneficial and that we want to continue with that extra amount of clubs. But that would be what we would have to talk about during the budget process.
Trustee Fallon has a question?
How many extra clubs are there due to this?
There, in the ARP grant, it was allocated for one club per grade level per school. But that might not be what it turns out to be because the teachers have to volunteer to do that work. So it's pretty close to that, but that was what the allocation was for the grant.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Trustee Vicente, is it okay?
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so next would be the business committee, which is page 5, the business committee and the business committee consent.
Any questions from the board? No?
Okay. The policy committee will have second reading on the organization chart. We did there will be a report for the policy committee next week from trustee Vicente, but I did want to remind the board that when the policy committee meets, there will be a first view for the board in the weekly packet, and then we will put any policies up for first reading and then the second reading. So we instituted that last year, but we hadn't done that since the policy, we haven't reviewed policies for several months, so I just wanted to remind.
Giving the board more time to review
Correct.
and have come with questions.
Correct. Okay. Okay, there are no items for the facility committee.
You all-
Oh, for the policy committee, can you add trustee Proposio in the title?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Committee of the whole consent, 1 through 7, are there any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Give me a few minutes, please.
Sure. While they're looking over, superintendent also, this is a new format, the education committee and trustee.
Yeah.
You good? This side of the room, you okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Discussion items.
Discussion items. Okay, first discussion item, I believe, was posed by trustee Benelli, message boards. Trustee Benelli, would you like to talk about message boards?
Oh, we fell short in the budget from last year, so I don't know how much of an impact. I don't know what the whole dollars are, if we wanted to add message boards to the other 3 elementary schools. District 21, 30 have all those boards, and I don't know where we're at, if that's a good idea. In my mind, I think those message boards do work, this when the parents
So
come.
we would need them in all, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Okay, we would need them at all 4 schools.
So
This one is for the
oh.
district, this is not Devers, no information for Devers comes. This is the district message board, so it would be 4 schools.
So we couldn't just simply.
I would assume if we talk about it, we change this to Devers and then put up another one, I guess, maybe on the other side for the district or intertwine them both, but as far as I know, this is just district, correct me if I'm wrong, Superintendent?
Correct. This was a donation from the Valley Stream 13 Education Foundation in 2015 for district purposes.
Yeah, so it would be 4 schools, and we would have to figure out how to care for Devers.
So I'm suggesting that we do have message boards, because I think they're very effective. When the parents come to pick up the children, or when they come on the weekends, they see the announcement, there's a board budget meeting, or, there's an election, or there's a meeting coming up. It's very effective. In all the other districts, they do have, all their elementary have those.
Yeah, I understand. In high school level, they have it as well.
Oh, yeah, Memorial Central. And
Okay,
they're really
so-
good. They're
So you're asking if it's the will of the board for more information to look at message boards, how
Yeah.
much it will cost and so forth?
I did all the legwork, it's like 3,500 to get like the plasma ones.
We would need to get
Yep.
the benefit. So are you asking, is it the will of the board to
I'm
continue?
asking you if it's the will of the board
Okay.
to get this boards.
That's what I need to hear from you, Mr. Trustee Benali. Okay. Trustee Benali is putting on the table, if it's the will of the board to look for more information, not that they will, but to more information on the message boards for each school. Trustee Grosso?
Yeah.
Trustee Vicente?
Yes.
Trustee Composio?
Yes.
Trustee Benali, I'm assuming yes. Trustee Farrell?
Yes, but I'd also like information on who's going to be managing them, because right now, it's part of the
Right.
Education Foundation District Trust.
Right, so that would be, all I would assume, all in the means of what it would cost to uphold, to install and upkeep. And I would like to also know the maintenance that it costs on the school that we do have, if there's any maintenance records past that. So to purchase, to install, the upkeep, some maintenance records of the past year, and we need to do 4.
I'd just like to add.
I'm a yes as well. Oh, sorry, Trustee Farrell?
And just the cost of the electrical with.
Yes, the cost that goes with it. Trustee Composio?
Can we also, there's no way to interchange it so that they do district and the location of the school?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, all right.
I don't know if we need to separate it or get one, and maybe we would, since the district office is at another location, we put it at another location. To repeat the same stuff, if you're gonna, and what would you be, is it worth it? What are we gonna be sending over there, other than meetings, and so we'll do the cost analysis. So you have the will.
Just
You already got the will.
Just something to add on Trustee Farrell. I did do a little light work. The installation is almost the same as the purchase price, so across the board, if we get all 4 districts, it's about $24,000. But as far as managing the messages, the systems that they have right now.
We're gonna
we do
see
about
who manages them now, and not how Mr. Benelli would run it, how the school needs to run it. Thank you, though, I appreciate it, and thank you for bringing it up to the board. Next item is policy 4511R. I don't know what trustee Benelli brought up 4511R.
So that's a revision policy. Can you refresh my memory here?
You're the one who brought it up. I
Hold
think
on.
you would know.
Textbooks.
Textbooks?
Oh, textbooks, oh, yeah, so, just to check if I have the record correct, Dr. LaRocca, I think she mentioned when the board voted to approve the budget, that in essence approves, purchasing the books without us actually inspecting, is that correct?
That was the prior practice to what we did last year.
And I think you added that the board agreed that that would be the change.
Correct.
But that's a policy, there was no vote, I checked. There was no vote.
It
on
was a
making that change.
resolution in May to approve additional textbooks.
No, I mean, talking about the policy that gives the authority to approve the books by the board of trustees.
That's what the policy originally said, you wouldn't need to change the policy.
Right, but you had said, and you just agreed that by the board approving the budget, in essence, we're approving the books, without even looking at the books. Right?
That's what was taking place.
Also, if we're going forward, we're gonna be looking at the books then.
You're approving the books as per the policy that the board has in place.
Are you trustee
So I
Benelli?
provided a recommendation to the board from the Curriculum and Instruction Committee, which is the textbook selection committee as per that policy, 4511. And then the board can ask questions or ask for more information, and then by resolution, there's a vote of the board whether to approve that or not.
So at those get-togethers, at those meetings, does the board actually get to see, like, the books themselves?
No, the committee makes a recommendation to the superintendent, and the superintendent makes a recommendation to the board. That's what the policy
Are
says.
trustees welcome to sit on that committee to look at the books?
Trustees are not part of the committee, no.
We,
Do they have the ability to sit
we
on it?
entrust the superintendent to make the recommendation. Hold on, trustee Farrell?
So, one year, and Margaret, I believe you were on the board, the books were brought to a committee of the whole meeting, I believe. It had to do with legal, I believe it was an executive session, and that's where we reviewed.
In executive session?
I don't remember if it was executive session, there's something legal about it though, but we were able to review.
You got the lawyer right here, maybe
Yeah,
he could maybe
I don't remember
shed some light on that. Is there any
which books it was.
legality to that?
You want to talk about it in public or?
Would the board like this in public or?
Probably.
Inside? We'll talk about it in executive session.
Uh,
One second, trustee Grisante?
So I do clearly remember us voting on that resolution in May regarding the books that were recommended. So I'm a little confused as to your question when we all voted on that already in May. So can you clarify for me?
Well,
what are you
it's just
asking?
pretty straightforward. I think, one of the responsibilities of the board is to actually look at the actual curriculum, inside the textbooks, what's being taught. It's not just so much, is there violent content, because these are elementary children. That there's no violent content or sexuality content, but it's the other one. Before I even got onto the board, Dr. Evelyn allowed me to look at all the textbooks. So I literally looked at all the textbooks within the first 6 weeks before mid-September. And the books were great. I mean, really good. I was so impressed. The second grade or third grade book, the science books, actually spoke about acids and bases. They spoke about the electron. However, and then we were Broadhill. However, some of those books were as old as 7 or 8 years. Now, 7 or 8 years in technology is a long time, and if we're budgeting $200,000 a year, are we, are our science books getting up to date? So it's both things. Not only what's the content, but is it up to date?
I understand your rationale, but my question to you is, we voted on that in May. When they were proposed to us, wouldn't that have been a perfect time for you to ask to see those books?
Well, as there's been already a suggestion of a little confusion here, what was addressed and what was agreed to, it's the same clarity. It's nothing barring me bringing it up now.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you wanted to see the books, that would have been a perfect time for you to ask to see them.
Didn't I just say that I looked at all the books before we got to
No,
this?
in May, we voted on those books.
Yeah, and months earlier, I looked at all the textbooks at the school. I looked at literally all
You
the...
said Dr. Evelyn gave you
Right,
all the books.
Right, yeah, that's right.
We're in
about a
May
year
now.
ago.
We've been having the same superintendent for over a year.
I'm sorry, what are you driving at?
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Trustee Capozio.
So you're just asking that the board has the ability to view all the textbooks?
Exactly. A sample for each of the grades. We should be able to look at the content.
Okay.
It's part of our policy.
So-
We voted on it. We could have
So we entrust the superintendent to get the books. We vote on it after she does the recommendations. Is there anything that states that, it doesn't state that we can't look at them? So,
Good point, good point.
right, it doesn't say we can't look at them, so what, I guess the trustees are saying, what is it that you need? Is it to overlook the policy again? Because there's nothing saying prior to you voting that you're not able to view them. Or
Right.
bring it up to the board, say, hey, can we look at the books? So I think what the drive is it's there for you to do, you just didn't execute it at the time. So it's not there that you can't. We entrust right now that the superintendent's, I guess when we vote, that is a consensus that we approve those books. At that point, before you vote, we could ask the superintendent to see the books. So
I got you.
it's there, so it just needed, I think, a little clarity on it,
Okay.
trustee Benoit.
Okay,
Okay?
okay.
All right. Okay, next item is manage finances. I believe this is trustee Benelli as well. However, I'm not quite sure if you got your answer prior already on this one?
No, because
Manage, no?
I didn't send anything home yet on that because we only got the request
Oh, yeah.
No, but I
that's what
think
you
this
said.
was
Yeah.
spoken
It was
about.
too recent.
No. I don't
Okay.
think so.
It was too recent.
Okay,
She only
Yeah.
got Friday, I
okay,
But you asked to put it for a discussion item, so we didn't want
think.
to.
Yeah, it's too early.
okay. Okay, weekly facilities reports. Can I talk to this, or? Trustee Benelli, it says weekly facilities report before, it sounds, we are, meeting, the facilities committee's meeting next week. This is part of, my task as facilities committee chair. The president gave us some charges to do, as well as some items, I need to discuss with, assistant superintendent and the facilities director. So I'm gonna hold off on this conversation, because I already have steps and measures that might, satisfy your needs. So,
Incidentally, I think the superintendent, Morocco, has actually satisfied one of the requests I made regarding facilities. It was basically, I think it was titled, open tickets for schools.
Okay.
You know, and she gave everyone a copy.
yes, but I'm saying reports and other things, I'm gonna ask you to put this on hold, and we'll get a report of my charges and how the direction of the facilities committee is going, with our new facilities director, which will probably satisfy your needs.
Excellent.
Okay, is there anything else? Those are all the discussion. That's good. It's like an auction here, you just, you just bought a car. Okay, that concludes, I need a motion to go back into executive session.
Well, actually, do I, I'm sorry.
All right,
Point of
I'll
order.
reverse that. Trustee Benelli?
Do I have an opportunity to actually call for a motion?
Not during the meeting, under what?
I thought, my understanding, maybe Chris Shishko can correct me, under any public meeting, a motion could be made.
Yes. Okay.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to revise policy 2111.1 to read board member school visits. Upon 48-hour notice to the superintendent and school principal, any board member may visit any school or any other facility under the district's jurisdiction. Such board member visits to school properties are in furtherance of their given responsibilities and authorities by the New York State Department of Education. During these visits, a trustee is not authorized to enter any classroom while class is in session. Visiting boards will report any findings, if any, to the Board of Education.
I'm going to make a motion to table his motion, so the board can have a discussion with some legalities, the legal matters.
Doesn't that have to go to the policy committee
Yes,
first and
but
then the
there's
attorney
some-
for review?
yeah,
I
attorney for
didn't,
review.
board trustee can't just make a policy by himself.
Yeah, that's why I'm
Well-
tabling it at the moment, so we can
Okay.
discuss with legal matters.
Well, actually, back in April of '21, we actually had a resolution put forth, and the board, right then and there, even though it wasn't on the agenda, approved that
Yes.
and voted on it. And it
Right,
wasn't
but I
even
made-
reading.
But it would have had to be reviewed.
No, it was never reviewed. It was the
I
same night it was voted on.
Your motion was taken, I made a motion to table it.
Okay.
Second.
The motion to table was second. On the question,
Okay.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is tabled. Any other items? Okay, I need
I
a
make a
mo,
motion to go into executive session with the attorney and our superintendent and the assistant superintendent.
Second.
To discuss legal matters.
moved in second, on the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
That concludes, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Is there a reschedule for the walkthroughs, the building walkthroughs?
Yes, the building walkthroughs is now November 4th
Thank you.
at 9 a.m.